This video is titled, Why Do Chinese Women Have Small Titties? This video is named after a discussion in a public comment forums. Someone posted a news story at a public forums that reported on a study that had discovered the breasts of modern Chinese women were growing bigger. The study speculated that the increase in the breast size of Chinese women was due to a better diet. It was speculated that the better living conditions in modern China had given the women the opportunity to buy more and better quality food, which made their breasts grow bigger. I disagreed with that conclusion. I wrote in the discussion that the reason that the breasts of Chinese women were getting bigger was that the bodies of the Chinese women were reacting to the lack of adherence by the women to their cultural heritage of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles. I claim that it was the incorporation of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles in the everyday life of Chinese women that made their breasts small. I claimed in the discussion that the reason the current generations of Chinese women were not incorporating their cultural heritage of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles into their everyday lives was that their exposure to Western culture was contaminating them. The new generations of young Chinese women are living their lives according to Western principles instead of living their lives according to Chinese principles as previous generations of Chinese women had. I claim that it was the changeover from learning and practicing Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles to living and practicing a Western style of life based on Western principles that was causing the increase in size of the breasts of the current generation of Chinese women. The other participants in the discussion did not agree with my claim because they did not understand why incorporating Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles into the daily lives of Chinese women would make their breasts small. I felt it would be beneficial to the participants in the discussion if the explanation for why the breasts of Chinese women would become small from practicing Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles was presented as a puzzle that the participants in the discussion would have to think about and solve on their own. The puzzle began with this picture of a human being with the arms stretched overhead. This picture with a line superimposed on the human body was presented next. The line travels down from the arm to about chest level, where it forms a circle, before continuing on down to the foot. I told the participants in the discussion that this picture explained why Chinese women have small breasts. The line was placed on the human body in exactly the way that it was, that if they could figure out what the line represented, they would understand what it was about incorporating Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles into the daily lives of Chinese women that made their breasts small. No one could figure the puzzle out. A series of pictures and verbal statements were then presented in an attempt to guide the participants in the discussion to the solution of the puzzle. No one could figure the puzzle out. Then a hint was presented that I felt should help anyone understand what the line drawn on the human body represented, and why it explained how the incorporation of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles into the daily lives of Chinese women would make the breasts of Chinese women small. I told them to reach under their desk and tie their shoelaces. If you have not solved the puzzle already, you should pause the video right now and reach under your desk to tie your own shoelaces. The line on this picture is a loop. What happens when either end of a loop is pulled on? The loop will get smaller. This picture shows a person holding both ends of a shoelace loop. The loop is outlined in this picture. As the person pulls on both ends of the loop gets smaller. The loop at chest level on this human body explains why the incorporation of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles into the daily lives of Chinese women makes the breasts of Chinese women small. Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles have the same effect on the breast area of the human body as pulling the ends of a loop has on a loop. The incorporation of Chinese Kung Fu and its principles into the daily life of a Chinese woman would exert a constant pulling or contracting force on the breast that would make it contract to a small size. The reason that the scientific study found that current generations of Chinese women have bigger breasts is not that the women had a better diet. Because current generations of Chinese women no longer incorporate Chinese Kung Fu and its principles into their daily lives, there is no longer a pulling or contracting force exerted on their breasts, causing them to shrink. The breasts are free to grow as big as they can, with nothing holding them back. This same concept explains why Chinese people have small bodies, and why it has been found that Chinese men generally have a small penis size. The incorporation of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles into the daily lives of Chinese men exerts a pulling or contracting force on their penis, causing it to become small. According to Happy Theory, the practice of Chinese Kung Fu and its related principles will cause any human body to contract or shrink in size. Because of the way that the human body is constructed, the breast of a female and the penis of a male are more strongly affected by the contracting forces generated by Chinese Kung Fu.